The thing is, I was born brilliant, born bad, and a little bit mad. I'm Cruella. I want to make trouble. Are you in? Hi there, I'm Paragetta, and every week I'm bringing you a new nerdy crafting video. If you're new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button down below so you don't miss out on any new projects. Today, I'm showing you how I made my Cruella Halloween costume. I loved the scene where her white cloak burns away to reveal that amazing red dress. So that's the Cruella style I went with for this costume. I'm gonna walk you through how I made the mask and where I got the rest of the costume elements from. So let's get started. The first thing you want to do is grab a sheet of craft foam that is about 2 millimeters thick. I just picked this up from my local craft store. And then you're going to grab yourself a template. This is the template I made for this mask that fits my face. You can download it below, or you can kind of just measure an old mask that you have at home or look one up online. But this one is available for free down below for y'all, and you can kind of fit it to your own face and make it work for the specifications that you want. Then I just folded this template in half and cut it out. I folded it in half so that each side would be exactly the same. You don't have to fold it in half, but I just prefer doing it this way to keep it more symmetrical. Once you have your template cut out, you're going to want to trace this onto your craft foam. You can either do it with the full template, or you can go ahead and fold the craft foam in half and do the half version. That's what I did here, just to keep things symmetrical. It's really up to you and what you want to do. I used black craft foam. You can use any color that you want, but I use black because that's going to be the color that works best for this mask. Then I used a white colored pencil to trace this on. You can use a regular pencil, it's just a little harder to see. Whatever works for you, you do your own thing. Whatever you have on hand works best. That's what I always say. And you'll want to make sure that the nose piece is the part that you put on the fold so that your whole mask will fold out evenly together. Then I just cut this out with a pair of scissors. You can use an X-Acto knife if you'd like, but scissors was the easiest for me. And then you'll want to make sure that you're cutting out the eye holes as well so that they are the same exact size. If you get any jagged edges or things like that, you can always touch those up later and cut those off, or you can sand them down so that they are more smooth. Now that we have our mask cut out, we're going to want to form this to our face so that it lays better on your face. So what you're going to want to do is get something that heats up, like a hairdryer or a heat gun. My hairdryer gets super hot, like it melts my hairbrush sometimes, so I have to be careful. So my hairdryer was perfect for being able to do this. You can also use a heat gun if you have one of those. Don't use an open flame, that's a poor idea. Do not do that. So you're going to want to go ahead and heat up your craft foam so that it's more pliable and will be easier to shape. You want to keep it warm so that when you form it to your face, it will cool down and it will end up being the perfect shape on your face. With the hairdryer, it doesn't get very hot, so it's pretty easy to touch and not burn yourself. But if you're using a heat gun, that does get pretty hot, so make sure that it is cool enough before you put it on your skin. Once you have this all heated up with your hairdryer, you're going to want to form it to your face. It's easier to start with the middle section on your nose because that's the part that sticks out the most. So you'll just place it on your face and just hold it in place where your nose bends and things like that and wait for it to cool down. You're gonna look super cool while doing this, definitely. Once that's cooled down, you'll be able to see that it conforms to the shape of your face. Once I had my nose done, I just heated up the edges and took all of my fingers and put them on top of it and just held it against my face for a little bit until it was completely cooled down. And as you can see, I don't even need anything holding it up because it's perfectly conformed to my face, which is really cool about craft foam. So it's super easy to be able to make it fit to you perfectly. You don't have to use your face. You can use a doll, or you can use a styrofoam wig head, something like that if you don't feel comfortable using your face, but this is the method that I used. Then once your mask is all cooled down and it's in the shape that you want, it's time to put on our elastic. So with this mask, you have two choices. You can go ahead and not put any elastic on it and attach it to your face using spirit gum, or you can use the elastic to be able to just put it around your head. I chose to do the elastic because spirit gum is a pain in the butt. So the elastic that I use for this is a beading cord elastic. It's pretty stretchy and really thin, so it made the perfect elastic to use. So what you need to do is take an X-Acto knife and just poke a hole in one edge of the mask, and then do it also again on the other side of the mask. I did these at like the pointed section where I want it to be as close to my face as possible. Then I just cut my elastic down. I measured it about halfway around my head, and then I placed it into the holes using my X-Acto knife to kind of push it through. And then what I did is I tied a double knot on the side so that it would stay in place, and then you have your elastic. Make sure you do this on the other side, and you can kind of adjust to how tight or not tight that you want it against your face. Tighter is always better for keeping that nice look that makes it look like there's no elastic or anything. But you can keep it as loose or as tight as you want. If you end up having this being a little bit too loose after you've tied it on, you can always double knot the elastic in the back as well. And so this is what it should look like. Now it's time to put on our beautiful black jewels. So I just got this pack of sticky gems that have a little bit of adhesive on the back of them in the scrapbooking session at Michael's, and they worked pretty well. I also got this E6000 glue that had an applicator tip to make it easier to add the E6000 underneath the jewels. And I also got this little handy dandy thing called a jewel picker that makes it so much easier to pick up jewels, and so you don't have to worry about getting glue all over your fingers. So what I did is I put some E6000 glue starting at the top of the nose, and I'm doing little bits at a time so the glue doesn't dry, and then just taking my jewel picker and putting the jewels on in kind of a nice little order to cover up the whole nose section. And I want to make sure that I cover up the entire nose section first, and then we'll be adding the rest of the jewels after we add our feathered elements. Now that we have the nose section done, we're going to move on to feathers. I just got these feathers from, I think it was Joann's. I got them in different shapes and sizes, and I also got a nice little floofy one to add some floof elements to it too. Then I just took the bigger black feathers and I cut off the stems of them because those were just going to get in the way. And then I placed them on the edges of the mask and covered up the area in which we tied on our elastic, so no one can see how our mask is being held on. Then I just arranged the larger feathers to kind of give it a cascading effect that Cruella's mask has. I used a photograph from the movie to kind of see where the different feathers were going to be placed. And then once I had that kind of figured out my starting point, I used some E6000 glue and I glued those on. The reason I'm using E6000 instead of hot glue is that I feel like E6000 is a little bit more pliable and it doesn't make the mask as hard, so it'll conform to your face better, whereas hot glue kind of makes a sticky mess with all the different strings around, and it makes it really hard and like unmoldable to your face. So that's what I really like about E6000, and things stick forever with it. So it's a really good glue to use for cosplay. Then I'm just taking in some of the smaller feathers and adding some extra elements into the mask. Taking some feathers and cutting them up into little pieces so I can get the bottom areas of the mask that don't necessarily have a full feather, but just like little pieces in there, and gluing those on. And then Cruella kind of has some splashes of white feathers within the mask, and so I started to put a few little smaller white feathers onto the mask and fitting those in, as well as some fun floofy white feathers that I put onto the top so that it kind of gave that fun extra floofy feel. And then what I did is I took the smaller black feathers and I arranged them over the top so they blended in more with the other black feathers. When you're placing feathers, don't worry too much about anything that goes over the eye hole area because once the glue has dried, we can actually cut those away and have them fit to the eye shape that you already have on your mask. So there's no need to really worry about that too much. Just make sure that any supporting elements of those feathers aren't in the eye hole area so that you won't have to cut them off. Then once you're happy with your feather arrangement, you're going to take some glue and put it around the eye holes and fill in any extra spaces that might be popping through of the foam from the mask and cover those up with our jewels. The jewels are a really good way to cover up any end pieces of the feathers that might be a different color. Like some of my feathers were brown on the inside and I just covered that up with a jewel so that you can't see it. And I also put some jewels around the full eyes just to give it an extra pop. If you look at pictures from the movie, the jewels are really just placed all over the mask and there's no really rhyme or reason to it. So it's kind of good to just kind of put them on a little bit haphazardly. They all really blend in and kind of make it look like the feathers and the jewels are one. Just put the jewels on where you feel like they look good and just cover up any extra craft foam so that you can't see it. Then you just want to wait for these to dry. I always say wait overnight just to be safe and then you're ready to go. Now it's time to put together the full costume. So first I did my makeup. I had a nice smoky eye and red lipstick. And then I placed the feather mask onto my head with my elastic with my hair put up so that the elastic would be hidden by the wig. Then it's time to put on the wig. I got the wig from Amazon. And all of these will be linked down below for you guys. The wig works pretty well. It's kind of disheveled, which is what her hair looks a lot like in the movie. So I think it works really well. And then next, it's time for the showstopper is the dress. And I found this dress on Amazon that like really looked like the original. It had the same spirit. It doesn't really have the neckline, but I think that it has some of the fun frilly elements that the original dress had, so I think it works pretty well. It's a dress that has kind of the same shape as Cruella's dress in the movie, so I think that it works pretty great. As far as shoes go, this dress is really long so you can't really see, so I just have some black heels on. Then I got this white cloak that matches hers in the movie before she transforms into the red dress. I feel like this is perfect for a Halloween costume because it can get kind of cold, and so you kind of have that element where you can stay warm, but you can also show the transformation as well. And this is actually from Party City of all places. Who knew? And I also got the red gloves that Cruella has in the movie to put on. They didn't have any long ones at the store, so I ended up with some short ones. But these are also from Party City as well. And you can also add some other elements to this. I got a cane from Spirit Halloween to kind of match what she has in that scene. You can also add some eyelashes if you'd like, to kind of spice it up, or any jewelry if you feel like that works better. I also got a Dalmatian printed mask so I can wear it out if I'm going to a place, so it works out perfectly so you can stay safe but still look really great in your costume. I just think that this mask turned out really well. It's definitely a simple project that gives a really big wow and a really big pop, and it goes together so well with the rest of the costume. It's a really easy way to really spruce up your Halloween for sure. I'm really excited to see if you guys end up making this project or any other Halloween inspired projects. Let me know in the comments down below what you're gonna be for Halloween. If you like this video, you should click right over here for another project that I think you might like, where I made Harley Quinn's caution tape jacket. And click right up here to subscribe to my channel. I'll see you guys next week for another DIY project where we get crafty and nerd out.